Week 4 isn't done. The anxiety is real. Stars going down, studs giving us duds. And of course, your bench is outscoring your starters. But hey, finally, we get a breakout. Welcome to Monday's Anxiety. It's time to laugh through all of the pain. Welcome to Monday's Hangxiety. Time to vent. It is Monday. It is that time. This is the therapy session every fantasy manager needs. Josh Hudson, myself. No Ryan Weiss today. He is under the weather. Tomorrow is going to be a great day for waivers, I can tell you. It's going to be a flu day. I know it is.
It's going to be Ryan's flu game hosting the show tomorrow and just letting me talk for an hour and a half.
That's the goal today, is to just let you talk for an hour. I'm not doing the hour and a half thing, but an hour.
I'll it works for me. If the audience wants it.
That's right.
We'll leave it at that. So.
The chat is already popping off. We're going to do something a little bit different today, and we're going to go probably a little bit more positive than negative. There's still going to be some negativity, I'm sure, but we're going to go a little bit more positive. Before we do, remember, like, subscribe over here on YouTube. If you're on any other podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, follow us over there as well. If you want to get comments in, if you've got start sit questions for tonight, you've got some major needs that you want to get answered right in the front, make sure you hit that super chat for us. Before we get diving into it too far there, let's talk about Trophy Smack, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy football season is here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all of your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. But don't forget to show some love to your commissioner for the thankless jobs that they have. You can always hit the link in the description of this podcast to check out some of the swag that you can get, not only for yourself, but for those commish. But just remind them who the second most important person in the league is. All of it is available at trophysmack.com/club fantasy.
And for those of you who are not already over in our Discord, the link is in the chat there. Go ahead and jump in, join us over there as well. For you guys that are in the chat right now, I know there's a couple comments already. Make sure you're dropping your lineup bright spots. We want to flaunt those wins. All right, Josh, let's get to the recap real quick. You want to go over it, or do you want me to go over it?
I can go over it. That's fine. All right, let's start on Thursday. Seahawks edged out the Cardinals 23-20. Hey, look, Marvin Harrison finally got in the end zone, and it only took a second half spark to get JSN some targets. My Eagles, not so sorry about your Bucks, 31-25 after a dominating first half. Things definitely got interesting in the second half.
They did. Y'all know how to play 30 minutes of football right now. That's what y'all
Yeah,
know.
that's about it. That is about it. Over in London, the Steelers edged out the Vikings 24-21. The Falcons, after putting up a grand total of 0 in week 3, 34-27 over the Commanders. Michael Penix actually looked like a first-round pick yesterday. Bills handled business against the Saints 31-19. The Lions treated the Browns like the Browns, 34-10. The Patriots put an absolute walloping on the Panthers, 42-13. Drake May, 3 total touchdowns in that game. And the Giants, naming Jackson Dart their starter this week, beat the cross-country traveling Chargers 21-18. Poor little lad McConkey just can't get going with all those weapons in that Chargers offense. And the Texans just absolutely run the Titans through the mud, 26-0. Cam Ward said it best. We ass. That's about what that team is right about now. Rams squeaked by the Colts 27-20. The 49ers just couldn't get things going against the that Jaguars defense is looking legit. 3+ turnovers in every single game this season. They beat the Niners 26-21 on the road. Chiefs in the battle of 1 and 2 teams put it to the Ravens 37-20. The Ravens are now 1 and 3. We will be talking about them a little bit later. The Bears on a blocked field goal edge out the Raiders in Las Vegas 25-24. And of course, for all of the Sunday night drama, just to get a tie, the Packers and the Cowboys tie at 40 apiece. It is the second highest recorded tie game in terms of total points in NFL history. That's your recap.
That is absolutely insane. And I didn't see the end of the game because, of course, I'm old, so I had to pass out early last night. But did I understand this correctly? Did Dallas kick a field goal to tie the game and not go for the win? Is that what happened?
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Playing not to lose. I guess, Dallas. I mean, it's better than losing, I guess, right, in Dallas? Whatever.
No, actually, wait, now that I think about it, Green Bay, with time expiring, had they took a shot in the back of the end zone, but luckily they literally 1 second left on the clock, and I think that was the overtime drive.
Okay, that makes a little bit more
sense. They were this close to literally losing it in overtime. Like, it was such terrible clock management. It really was.
Well, let's get over to it. We got 2 games tonight. The New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins, the battle of 0-4 team. Somebody's got to win. Maybe. I mean, I guess you could do another tie. Cincinnati at Denver. Couple interesting games tonight. Let's see what we got going on over in the chat. If there is any questions. Good morning, Caesar. Caesar says Dak or Geno over Dak was a mistake.
Yeah, that Raiders-Bears game wasn't as high flying as a lot of us thought. But Ryan and that was his game of the week for fantasy purposes on Wednesday. I mean, it was very sloppy, was really what it was. I mean, Geno had 3 interceptions, which, going against a bad Bears defense, I wouldn't have called that, in all honesty. But definitely very underwhelming for my Jacoby Myers anytime touchdown prop.
Yes, we were talking about that in the chat yesterday as well. George says Mariota honestly didn't look bad, just thought he'd run a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this going into on Saturday, actually. I said I felt like Mariota was a trap. Like, so much of what they were able to do in week 3 was him running the football. Well, the Falcons kept pace. They were throwing the football and staying ahead for much of that game, which forced Mariota to have to throw the football. Wasn't scrambling as much. He got that late touchdown to Debo, which I feel like kind of saved his day. He was streamable, but he wasn't really anything like over the top.
I find it. I think we've talked about this a little bit, especially on Saturday. But I think that Washington backfield is exactly that. It is what it is. It's a 3-headed monster that you want no parts of.
20 snaps, 20 snaps, and 19 snaps between all 3 of them. Like, it was literally even right across the board.
Yep. George says Vikings need to keep Wentz as the starter. I know they lost, but the whole offense looks so much better. Justin Jefferson returned to form. Now, wait a second. Before you say that, absolutely looked great in the first half. 8 of 8, but he only had 3 targets in the second half. Addison looked fine coming back from suspension, but when you have a Justin Jefferson and you're only going to give him 3 targets in the second half after giving him 8, and he goes 8 for 120 or whatever it was in the first half, and it could have been worse if he wouldn't have slipped.
Well, and the Vikings dealt with some injuries on their offensive line during that game, and that to me was the biggest tide changer. Like, look at the games where J.J. McCarthy struggled this year. It was when the offensive line was banged up and they were trash, plain and simple. When the offensive line was healthy and on the field, he looked like a competent starter. It's the same thing with Wentz. The offensive line was healthy in week 3. He looked great. Offensive line gets banged up this week. They look like dog shit.
Connor jumps in and says, can we talk about Emmanuel Wilson? The Packers handcuff. Seems like a very important player going forward. I thought it would be more of a committee without Jacobs. Your thoughts?
Jacobs, he left the game for a brief period, but ended up coming back. This was kind of the whole thing with Marshawn Lloyd, who ended up getting hurt. Emmanuel Wilson was very competent last year. He was a solid complementary piece. He is, by definition, a handcuff. That is what Emmanuel Wilson is. Going into this season, kind of became the same thing. Marshawn Lloyd gets hurt. He's going to miss some extended time. Wilson now becomes that key handcuff. So, yeah, if Josh Jacobs does miss any sort of extended time, Wilson is the guy that you want, and he's got some juice in that backfield.
Yeah, eight carries, 44 yards, 3 for 3 in the receiving game, 37 yards for Emmanuel Wilson. And the last night's game, Kraft should have had 2 touchdowns, fell down at the one twice.
Well, and then he also had the 1 touchdown that was called back by a penalty, which would have been Jordan Love's 3rd touchdown. If you at all follow Jeanty, go check out Shark Bets. Nice little swag here. She put together an alternate player line prop, and one of those props was Jordan Love for 3+ touchdowns. So like all of us in the chat were like freaking out because he got that 3rd touchdown called back. Eventually he ended up getting it, but that would have been nice for a lot of my fantasy teams. Tucker Kraft getting the end zone, but I believe he had 7 for 40 as well. So things definitely played out okay.
5 for 5, 56. Yeah.
Okay.
But hey,
I mean, still a decent day. Over 10 fantasy points for a tight end. I'll take it.
Props to fucking Romeo Dobbs there, buddy. Getting it done.
Trifecta.
Trifecta. Thoughts on Wan'Dale? He's been sitting on my bench. Also had Pickens sitting on my bench, but still got to get the win.
Just like them birds, baby. So I'm going to eat some crow on George Pickens. I was very vocal about being down on him this week. Again, we'll get to that a little bit later. Here's the thing with Wan'Dale. Now that Malik Nabers is out for the season, Wan'Dale has to be rostered. I'm not saying that Wan'Dale is automatically going to take over that Malik Nabers role. They're not built the same way, but he's going to be very involved in that passing offense. And you have a young quarterback starting for the first time. Wan'Dale is going to be heavily targeted. He has to be, plain and simple. But I think he's going to be very matchup reliant as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let you guys discuss this tomorrow because I think it's going to be a highlight of tomorrow. But I think Darius Slayton, Ty Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, those all are going to be somebody you're going to be looking at with the.
You mean Theo Johnson?
Theo Johnson, I'm sorry. Going to be somebody you're looking at with the rookie Jackson Dart there, who by the way had a nice game, not great, but I brought this up on Saturday. Only one of the last, I believe it was 6 players to start as a rookie got a touchdown, and that was Drake May, and now Jackson Dart joins that company. Connor said he had Jeanty, but my wife asked me to help her with something at the very moment he ran for 80 yards. So I didn't even get to see it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That was such a beautiful. It was 64-yard touchdown run, but damn, it was pretty. Broke off a couple tackles. It felt very Boise State vintage Jeanty. That's why Jeanty is on the thumbnail. Everybody has been waiting for this breakout, and it finally came.
People need to start ranking Javonte higher. Dude is putting RB1 numbers up. It still falls below the top 15 in most rankings.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point where he doesn't belong in start sit questions anymore. Until the Cowboys stop using him or he proves ineffective, right now he's the top 10 running back. Plain and simple.
100%. What's up, guys? Should I drop Tootin for Woody Marks? I think that's a fair.
I mean, it's a fair question, just given the use or lack thereof for Tootin of late, and obviously Woody Marks pops. Truthfully, I want both of them. Yeah. That's what I really want. I want to keep both of them. I would like to think that there's somebody else on your roster that you could drop to potentially pick up Woody Marks, just because running backs are at such a premium. Because injuries are so much more frequent at that position, you can always find pop wide receivers on waivers. We literally have had a pop wide receiver every single week. Troy Franklin popped. Trey Tucker popped. Like, these guys pop all the freaking time and then go into nothing. They get, snapped out of existence like Thanos does, right? This is what happens. You can find wide receivers. Make sure that you stash running backs.
Marcus, what I will say is come back tomorrow at 11. join Josh and Ryan as they go through some of the waiver wire ads. Bring this question back to them because I know Ryan's going to have a lot to say about that as well. Charlene saying pour one out for Nabers. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Trone is down by 1.66 with Tyreek going.
You got this covered, baby.
You're good, buddy. I think you're good.
Even in Tyreek's bad games against the Jets, he's usually good for 2 for 20.
Yep.
That'll cover your 1.6.
I think this is directed directly to you, Josh.
Probably, yeah.
Joe jumping in.
Probably.
Pickens, baby. Let's get through a couple more of these real quick before we get into the show. Connor coming back flaunting his wins. Number 1, RB, Jeanty. Number 5, quarterback, Allen. Number 4, RB, Hill. Number 5, wide receiver, Metcalf. Woof. Number 1, defense there, Detroit Lions. Joe says Woody Marks is going to be a big name this week. Glad I jumped on him early.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. DK and the last second pickup of Gainwell.
Gainwell, yeah.
Yes, I did that yesterday morning as well. And what a great ad. That helped me out a lot. Jeff Rogers says, I need Tyreek to score 23 points tonight for the win. Do you think I have a chance?
It's definitely doable. It's going to be tough, Jeff. I'm going to tell you that. Tyreek is very capable of doing this. I mean, this is basically a 9 for 100 and a touchdown kind of game. We've seen that from Tyreek on occasion. He's done it against the Jets in his recent history. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. It really just depends on how in sync this Miami offense is, truthfully. And honestly, if Justin Fields and that Jets offense really get going, they're going to have to throw the football. So Tyreek's going to be very involved.
Thoughts on Kamara? Should I keep starting him, especially with Kendre?
Yeah, Kendre popped out, had a really good week this week. I think what the Bills have shown us through 4 weeks, they're not a good run defense. So I think that kind of inflates Kamara's, value some. The problem, though, is that Kamara's value has always lied in targets and receptions. Mm-hmm. And right now, they're just not throwing him the football. So I would try to use this opportunity to try to move Kamara, because if the Saints aren't going to use him, maybe he becomes a trade target for other teams in the NFL at the deadline here in the next month or so.
Kansas City Chiefs.
I was going to say the Chiefs desperately need a running back, and they throw to their running backs, but we can't bank on the fact of maybe this happens. What we can do is say the Saints are not throwing to a running back, and I need to jump ship. So if you can find somebody that still has some belief in Kamara, that thinks that the opportunity is there and will hopefully pick back up, then I think that's the route that you want to take with Kamara.
What about the Raiders, Raheem Mostert as a stash? Hank of look like he still has some juice.
I mean, it's 4 carries. He had the big long run, but that's always been Mostert as a backup running back, right? He's one of the faster running backs, even at his more advanced age. Sure. I mean, if you really feel the need to waste a roster spot, in my opinion, like the only way that Mostert is going to see any reliable time is straight up if Jeanty misses time. He is a bell cow. It's a lot different when you're stashing someone like a Woody Marks or a Chris Rodriguez, who are playing, close to 50% of the snaps and more of an even timeshare, versus a Raheem Mostert who's playing like not even 15% of the snaps.
Cap jumping. This is I feel great about the 1:00 games at midnight. The fatal position in the corner of my room saying, why Mahomes? Why Jeanty? Why CMC? This is what Monday is about for you to vent.
It is.
There you go.
It is.
Get it out. Jonathan, I had a 6-leg anytime TD parlay and hit on everyone except Jefferson. And Jefferson slipped when he was going into the end zone, I believe. So yeah, ouch.
That hurts.
That sucks. Matt says, I work every Sunday. When I deliver to people's doors, I can see the games in the windows.
Hey, it's the way you got to do it, man. I typically work Sundays too, because I have inventory at my restaurant. Thankfully, I have TVs on, so I catch a lot of the games, and we always have Red Zone playing. So I feel you on this one.
Over from Twitch, super frustrated with Travion. How is it possible after scoring a TD, he doesn't get any more touches? Do I keep holding on? Currently 3-1.
Welcome to life of rostering a New England Patriots running back. That's basically what this boils down to. It's three-headed. The positives that you need to take from this game. Yes, Travion Henderson scored a touchdown. That's the first thing. The second thing, he actually played more snaps this week than Antonio Gibson. That's also a good thing. Ramondre is and was always going to be the starter for this season. We've been talking about it all summer long. Joe Zolo, my co-host with no pun intended, he's very tuned in to the New England Patriots. This is what they do. They will stick with a bell cow running back, and they will have somebody that is more of a pass-catching kind of role. Travion Henderson is that pass-catching kind of role. Now, they didn't have to throw to him much this week because Panthers just can't stop the run, plain and simple. So they spread the wealth. They let everybody get a little taste. But the difference being Ramondre's fumbling issues as a starter and Antonio Gibson's fumbling issues as a backup. Gibson, if he keeps fumbling, is going to see more pine. Henderson will then have a shot. You're looking at an upside RB2 here, simply when they actually throw him the football. But the fact that you're 3-1, that's the good thing. That means you can withstand holding Travion Henderson. Hey, and you have Ramondre. All right, that's cool. If it's a standard league, I'm starting Ramondre every single week, and I'm more than happy to do that. Like, that's not a problem for me.
Josh, I know we'll talk about this in a minute, but we did just get the breaking news. It is confirmed ACL out for the season.
Kind of figured that was going to be the case. That was the big worry that the Giants were tossing out, but yeah. All right.
Two more real quick before we get over to the show sheet itself. Can I get a quick thought on a trade I made on Friday? Got DK for Breece Hall.
I definitely don't hate it. I tend to prefer, RB2s in this situation. I would have rather had Hall versus DK, but we saw exactly why DK is good, plain and simple. When he can take a 10-yard pass and go 80 yards down the field, he has that ability. He's one of the biggest, fastest men in the NFL. The issue is Aaron Rodgers' ADOT is like 2.6. They are not throwing the football downfield. The good news for Metcalf, he leads the NFL in yards after the catch. So, the target volume isn't really there. And that's what you have to bank on every single week are these kinds of big plays. He's the kind of guy that can make them, sure. But do you really feel comfortable starting him every single week with a hope and a prayer? That's what it boils down to when you're starting DK Metcalf. And I can say that from personal experience because I have a lot of DK Metcalf. Jay, you're muted.
Bench one for tonight. Achane, Garrett Wilson, Chase Brown, or Cortland Sutton. Which one
of those four? I'm benching Chase Brown.
Very fair. I'm with you there. I think that's pretty much where we're at right now. All right, let's get into the actual show sheet here. Keep dropping your questions in. We will get back to those as quickly as we can. But, Josh, we got to talk about the man of the hour, the thumbnail himself, the breakout guy for the week.
Ashton Jeanty, baby, the RB1 on the week. 21 carries, 138 yards, 1 touchdown. And, oh, by the way, had himself 2 receiving touchdowns on 2 targets. Not only were the stats finally there, but the overall usage hit what we all envisioned. This is what we talked about all off season. When you spend the 6th overall pick on a running back, give him the goddamn football. It is not rocket science. And Chip Kelly finally said, you know what? Maybe it makes sense. Let's throw this guy the football. He had a 10% target share, something he hadn't seen since week 1. He ran a route on 78% of Vegas's dropbacks. You combine all that with an 84% rush share. This is that 3-down workhorse value. You saw it on the 64-yard touchdown run, his tackle breaking ability. This is Ashton Jeanty. This is why people said he has the potential to be the RB1 of the 2025 season. He is that talented. This game finally reminded us this is why patience is needed. Rookies take time. And sometimes all it takes is the right opponent. And the Bears suck. So there you go.
To add to that, though, you look over his next couple games, he's got Indy, who gives up a lot on the ground, and Tennessee. So this, not saying everyone's like what I say that, this was a fluke, because it's not. This is Ashton, Jeanty. This is what we saw at Boise. This is what we expected to see in the NFL. It just took 3 games to get there, right? But now we're probably going to see a run of this type of game here where he's putting up these types of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it boils down to once the genie's out of the bottle, you're not putting him back in.
Very, very fair. All right, let's get over to the unnecessary shots of Rumplements. Injuries on the week. Of course, we just talked about it, but Malik Nabers is done for the season. Darnell Mooney out with a hamstring, may miss a game or two. Lamar Jackson looks like he's going to miss another the next game with a hamstring. Cedric Tillman, you guessed it, is a hamstring. Ricky Pearsall with a knee, and then of course, I believe Juwan Johnson also went out of the game with an injury.
Juwan Jennings, I know, left literally the same drive, but I think both those guys ended up coming back.
Okay, they were on.
They've been banged up with the same injuries for weeks now, and I mean, really, at the end of the day, the only way these guys are going to get healthy is if they take some weeks off. Plain and simple. Like, I don't know what is in the Pacific Ocean right now in the water that's making the San Francisco 49ers just so snake bitten with injuries. But this is a yearly thing with them. Like, fire your medical staff. Seriously. I don't understand this at all. But you know what? Maybe this is the price that Kyle Shanahan's paying to keep CMC healthy. So right now I'll take it because CMC is more valuable. But this is some black magic voodoo shit, apparently. But no, I mean, obviously, the biggest news here is Malik Nabers done for the year. This is a huge blow. Like, Jackson Dart is not going to reach his full potential without Nabers, plain and simple. But we've seen this before. When Nabers misses a game, Darius Slayton steps up. So for anybody that is, in leagues where you can put waiver claims in tonight, go and get Darius Slayton. He has filled in for Nabers in the past. He has I use this very loosely, a similar skill set in the sense that he gets the ball down the field. He is nowhere near as talented as Malik Nabers, but he's a veteran. He's been in the system. He knows what is required of him. He's going to step into that Nabers role. I would be paying attention to Jalen Hyatt as well. He's going to start getting some more run. I know him and Russ had some connections in the offseason. Russ was really excited about him. How that translates now with Dart being at the top of the quarterback food chain, I don't know. But Hyatt's going to see more run. And that, I think, there's some opportunities in like some deeper leagues like 14, 16 with him. But in 8, 10, 12, Darius Slayton 1,000% needs to be on your ad radar.
I want to add something to this because I want to go back to the Malik Nabers thing. And real quick rant for me. I just want to throw this out there. I saw this on Yahoo. These are notable ACL and Achilles tears just at MetLife Stadium since 2020. Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, Jabril Peppers, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Kyle Fuller, Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago, and now Malik Nabers. Let's get rid of fucking turf fields. Let's get rid of them. They're bullshit. You're watching world-class athletes that are running 4.340s, cutting on dimes like Ferraris, and we're letting them do it on glorified carpet laid over concrete. Grass is way better. It grabs. We need to stop with these owners need to stop saving fucking money. Spend the money on grass. Yes, it's a little more upkeep. But if the Bills are putting up a brand new stadium and they decided, you know what, screw that, we're not going to turf, we're putting in real grass, damn it, we can do it with these other athletes as well. Oh, wait a minute. We are going to do it with other athletes. We're going to tear up all the turf and put in grass for the World Cup. But we're going to put the turf back when it comes back to the NFL. Stop it. Get rid of these fucking turf fields. They're a joke. Sorry.
It's like running on concrete. It's bad.
It is. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. Now my rant's over. Let's get over to some of these chat questions real quick. Long time listener, first time caller. Are the Saints back for Hoove?
Hoove, I need to remind you that the Saints are 0-4. They're not back.
They are back. They are back to the Aints.
There you go. Okay, way to turn that phrase, Jay.
Gio must have forgot about Jacoby Myers.
Apparently, Gino said, "You don't want to be here? Fine, I won't throw you the fucking football." So
Quincy, you were just stabbing Josh right in the heart with it there. George wants to know, we worried about Pierce, so I'm not sure you can count on him Thursday night.
I mean, if it's a quick turn, I haven't even looked at the week 5 schedule yet. I don't usually start looking at that until tonight. But yeah, I mean, if the Niners are playing on Thursday, I would be very cautious. Yeah, I'd be very cautious about playing Pearsall.
Yeah, I am with you as well. I think you got.
Yeah, like I said, he's been banged up literally every single week. Like it comes down to the wire. It feels like whether he's going to play, and then 1 week he goes off like he did in week 3. This week he leaves due to an injury. Like there's no reliability there.
None. No, I think you really got to keep an eye on what's going on out there over the next couple of days. Juwan Johnson, are we dropping him?
No, he's still a target hog in that Saints offense. Like, sure, the Saints aren't great by any means, but when you're hyper targeting 2 players and they're putting up points, don't overreact to one so-so game.
Real quick, Charlene, I believe you are agreeing with me on these turf fields. I think everybody would. Would you drop T. Higgins for Wan'Dale?
No, I'm not dropping T. Higgins yet. And this is the thing. Like it's 4 weeks, and I want to preface this because it's really easy to overreact to like some of your bigger names that are underperforming. Yes, Jake Browning looked like ass in week 3. I don't expect him to look very much better tonight on Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. He knows the system. He's going to be okay. He's eventually going to get both Chase the football and T. Higgins the football. Don't panic drop somebody that you spend an early round pick on for somebody that should inevitably see a bump in value. What you're trying to do, Quincy, is drop somebody at the end of your roster to go pick up Wan'Dale Robinson, like that 5th or 6th running back that you have, or the 5th or 6th wide receiver to go pick up Wan'Dale. That's the kind of move that you make. You don't panic drop T. Higgins yet.
If you pick up Slayton, would you play him right away?
I mean, the Saints are next week, so yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Maddie says, I could have won my match if I'd have played Addison.
Oof.
I even had Jeanty, but my opponent had Warren on the roster and Puka and Jacobs.
Well, I don't like using the phrase "I didn't deserve to win." Everybody deserves a shot to win, right? Look, if you had found a way to beat your opponent who also started Puka and Jacobs, you know what? That's just 2 really good teams going at it. Like that kind of stuff happens. I've been the 2nd highest point scorer in my league and lost. It happens on a week-to-week basis. It's just that's how fantasy football rolls. I mean, sure, there was some, trepidation with Addison first game back and all that. I mean, really, it just kind of depends who you would have started him over, truthfully. But don't beat yourself up. Like these types of things happen.
Yeah, and if your opponent started Warren, that's on him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like the NFL came out at 1 o'clock or at 9 o'clock in the morning and said, "Hey, we're going to move this game to 9:30 in the morning." You knew about it, and there was a question mark.
Yeah, and he was questionable literally right up until game time.
So I mean, we did this last year.
If you weren't up early, then you probably missed it. And
you get up early to do your fucking waiver wires. You can get up early and do this. Double check.
Yeah, right.
Millie Mills, never mind. I was actually rooting for the Gator yesterday, though I can't stand the Eagles.
Bro, you live in Philly, Millie. What are we doing?
That's probably why you can't stand the Eagles. Yeah, just an absolute every week starter.
Yeah, and I talked about this all week. Like I downgraded Ibuka because he was going to see a lot of Quinyon Mitchell. What happened? He saw a lot of Quinyon Mitchell. He had 10 targets yesterday and caught 4. Okay. And the big plays that he had, they were in zone coverage when Quinyon Mitchell was not on him. It was when Makuba broke to try to make a big play, missed it, and he goes 70 yards for a touchdown. Like that was always in the cards for Ibuka to do what he did. And I'm not mad about how well he played as an Eagles fan. Like, you're going to give up points to good players, plain and simple. But we limited a lot of the damage because the Eagles have such a stud corner in Quinyon Mitchell. But 100%, Ibuka is a must start every single week, and he does not belong in start sit questions.
Mitchell needs to stop grabbing a hold of people as he's running. That's all I know. Jeanty says, should I trade Pickens and Swift for London?
I mean, I'm not mad about that.
No, I mean, you're London's starting to see what we saw.
I was going to say, London had a 38.5% target share. Darnell Mooney now is dealing with a hamstring. That 38.5% is probably going to be up to 43% in the next coming week. So, London is a stud, plain and simple. Like, we need to treat him like a top 10, top 12 wide receiver. Pickens will probably be that over the next month. But once Lamb comes back, he's going to just kind of remain as an upside wide receiver too. And if I can package Pickens with a dud at running back for a legit top 12 wide receiver, I'm going to do it all day.
I'm very serious about cutting a lad in my work league, but he's on the can't cut list.
So we're definitely going to talk a little bit about Lad McConkey later. I mean, I get the frustrations. I do. Lad is definitely interesting. I mean, look, he had 7 targets yesterday, 1 catch. I legitimately think that there's something going on up here where, he goes out and balls his rookie season and the team says, you know what? We have so much faith in you that we're going to bring in more competition. That's the wrong message you send to a rookie after a great season, right? Quentin Johnston is finally looking like a first-round pick, and kudos to him for putting in the work and getting to that point. But now they're throwing more to Omarion Hampton has 11 catches in the last 2 games. Aronde Gadsden, breakout week 3, ups his route percentage this week to over 50%. It's almost like they're purposely looking to not get Lad McConkey the football, which I truthfully do not understand. He's so incredibly talented and can make people miss. Maybe they're just waiting for the inevitable Keenan Allen hamstring injury. I don't know, but I'm legitimately worried about Lad McConkey. He's in the same territory right now as Jerry Jeudy, and you all know how I feel about Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, that's a little steep there, bud. I don't know that's fair.
I'm saying in terms of metrics.
Yeah, I mean, he still had 6 targets yesterday. He only caught 1 of them, but he did have 6 targets. I didn't see everything. But the plus side is he is on the field. Keenan Allen does come off the field. So it is Quentin Johnston and Lad McConkey are the 2 that stay on the field all the time. So, I mean, maybe it is, like you said, let's use up Keenan Allen until he's injured, right? But, we also know Keenan Allen is one of the best outside when it comes to one-on-one coverage too. So that could be a possibility. And the teams that they've played, outside of the Giants yesterday do have some decent, linebacking cores. And that's where the lad makes his hay, is in that middle of the field. So Lamar is out for me. Who would you pick up? Sam Darnold, Michael Penix, or Aaron Rodgers?
My head says Darnold. I'm curious to see what the matchups are like next week. Let's see. Where are the Seahawks at? Seahawks play the Bucks in Seattle.
Yeah.
Rodgers, where are the Steelers? Steelers are on a bye, I believe. So I think he's out. Who's the other one? Penix? Yeah, and Penix is on a bye. So Darnold by default.
Yep, there you go. Have we talked about AD Mitchell yet? The answer is no. He did lose that game for them yesterday, fumbling the ball, switching it. I don't know why he had to switch the ball from hands when he's the only one in the screen, but he switched the ball from one hand to the other, fumbled through the end zone, ended up being a touchback. But then even more importantly, Jonathan Taylor had a rush for a touchdown, and AD Mitchell inexplicably had a holding call on this rush. So he ended up costing Indianapolis 14 points and not just 7.
Yep. Yeah, this was a game that the Colts very easily could have won. And this was the big knock on AD Mitchell, is he has all the talent in the world. Dude's a head case. His head is not always in the game, and he's not thinking while he's playing. It reared its ugly head in week 4.
Charlene says they said Warren was going to play. They announced it at 4 a.m. Pacific time. She got up, set her lineups before 6:30, and she still missed one. That is going to happen, Charlene, when you play in as many leagues as you do. Connor wants to know if you have an updated take on Chris Godwin.
I mean, I don't feel like I've ever had a bad Chris Godwin take. I will say I was a little trepidatious this week simply because the way that they were making it sound leading up to not only this week, but even at the start of the season, was that they were going to slow him in. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at him yesterday. He was on the field. I believe he also saw 10 targets, but only had like 3 catches. Like, that to me is just rust, right? Like, that's, timing with Baker, everything else that comes with it. But the way that this Bucs offense throws the football, Chris Godwin's a must start. He's a top 20 wide receiver. So
you got to remember too, it's a hamstring for Evans. So there's probably, give it 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Well, guess who comes back in 3 or 4 weeks as well? You're talking about having 5 guys that you could throw the ball to, including Bucky Irvin there. That Tampa offense is just going to be slinging it everywhere. So that's where I'm at. Is it a dirty play to sit a defense being up a few points with the opponent not having any more players left?
Broly, that is a savvy veteran fantasy move. Any fantasy player will tell you that is how you win, plain and simple. If total points don't matter in the long run and all you focus on is 1-loss record, that is how you win, plain and simple. Go get that W, sit that defense. It's okay. Especially if there's no specific league bylaws that say that you can't do something like that, do it.
Millie Mills up 12 going tonight. His opponent has Garrett Wilson left. He has Sutton and Chase Brown. Does he win?
Well, I'm not loving Chase Brown tonight. I can tell you that, Millie. So by proxy, it's Garrett Wilson against Sutton. You're up 12 with Sutton. I think that's a good enough cushion. Yeah, I think you should win.
Hoove piping in. He did not need to hear the Jerry Jeudy comp there. It makes him want to throw up. And I agree.
Don't blame me, man. I don't blame you.
Chris Godwin is cheaper than Lad McConkey.
Yeah.
Would you trade a Brian Robinson, who I think could be a league winner, for Chris Godwin? Absolutely.
God, if that's all it took to get Chris Godwin, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Done. Smash.
Like, the only reason you need Brian Robinson is if you roster CMC, plain and simple. That's it. There is no reason to roster Brian Robinson.
As I say, at this point here with CMC, let me just double check, but I don't even think he's getting
He's not coming off the field.
No, yeah, but 17 carries, 49 yards. It's not a lot that he's doing out of the backfield. It's the receiving game that he's just thriving in, which is
and that's always been his MO.
Should I trade Pickens? If so, what's his value?
Oh man. First answer, I'm fine trading Pickens. I think his value is never going to be higher than it is going to be this month. Just kind of looking at value charts and stuff. If you could use the explosion and go get, say, an Amari and Hampton, I would do that. If you could get Cam Scatabo and a wide receiver back, I would do that. If you wanted to try to shoot for the moon, maybe get a Bucky Irving, do that. I think Travis Etienne is pretty fair value. Just I'm thinking in running backs. Like it's really difficult to like trade a wide receiver for a wide receiver in most redraft leagues. Like usually you want to try to upgrade at like running back or something along those lines. So that's kind of why I went there first. At wide receiver, maybe there's people that still don't believe in Quentin Johnston. Maybe you could get Quentin Johnston plus for George Pickens. I think that's a more than fair deal. Hell, you could probably get Michael Pittman plus for George Pickens. I would be more than happy to do that too. Again, I'm guessing this is a redraft and not like a dynasty question.
Yeah, Hoove jumps in and says 2 2s and one of them has to be high. That's more dynasty than I think what BGG is asking about here. Let's get to this one right here, and then we'll get over to the Hangover Mantra. Traded Jalen McMillan and Ertz for Pop Douglas and a third earlier this year after the hype with Pop, who playing more like poop Douglas, take the L and drop him for Slayton this week?
I would have zero issue with that. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like when you make trades, especially in the offseason, because you're anticipating a breakout or anticipating something, never be afraid to cut bait early. It's okay. The quicker you can admit, damn, I fucked up, and move off to get somebody that can actually help you, that's how you win a trade in the long run. So, yeah, I would 100% do this, Ron T.
Yeah, Quincy, Wentz is on a bye next week, so it would be Darnold, I believe, against Tampa. Josh Downs worth holding on to with the Mitchell nonsense.
I mean, sure, but here's the thing. Like, Mitchell played because Alec Pierce was out. Josh Downs is strictly their slot guy. Like, they do not move him outside. So, like, Alec Pierce is on the field when they're in 12 personnel, when they only have the 2 wide receivers, right? This is the same thing with AD Mitchell with Alec Pierce out. Like, regardless of all the nonsense with Mitchell, unless Alec Pierce is back, Mitchell's still going to be on the field. Josh Downs is a slot guy. That's it. So, I mean, is he worth holding? Sure, but he's not getting you anything right now. Like, if there's somebody out there like on waivers that can actually help you, then sure, move off of Downs and go get him. But like, I'm fine holding Josh Downs until somebody that hits waivers is like, oh, that's a potential league winner. That's somebody I got to go grab.
Y'all keep bringing those comments, keep putting them in. We'll get back to those in just a second. Let's get over to the hangover mantra, the I'm never drinking again self-reflection segment. Let's talk about what we've learned over the first 4 weeks, Josh.
Yeah, so I've got a few things that I want to list out. After week 1, everybody was up in arms about the Packers defense and how great they were. They held the Browns to 13 points. Okay, cool. But let's be honest, it's the fucking Browns. And then they go through and give up 40 to Dallas when this was supposed to be like a revenge game. You know, Micah Parsons was going to be breathing down Dak Prescott's neck. And, you know, Dak was 0-3 in Dallas last season at home. So, like, this was a place that was rife for the pickings. Maybe the Packers defense just isn't that good, and the Lions offense just started kind of slow with a brand new coordinator. So maybe let's pump the brakes a little bit on Dallas or on the Packers and just say that, you know what, the offense is good enough to put up points, but that defense isn't as shut down as maybe we want to think. Just saying that. Second thing, the Ravens defense,
trash.
You want to talk about cheese? They got some holes in it. They've given up a shit ton of points through 4 games. 41 to Buffalo, 37 to the hapless Chiefs offense. The plus side here is that their offense is still scoring points. Like in all 3 of their losses, they're averaging 30 points scored. They've scored 20, 30, and 40 points. So their offense can keep track. But if their defense keeps giving up these kinds of points, that's going to be some problems for some certain pieces on that offense that we're going to talk about a little bit later too. The upside in this defense potentially getting on track, their next 4 games versus Houston, versus the Rams, versus Chicago, versus at Miami. So they play 1 good defense in the Rams. They play 1 defense that's supposed to be good in Houston. And then they play 2 Pop Warner defenses in Chicago and Miami. So this offense can still keep going. But like Miami's offense isn't going to threaten this defense. Chicago definitely could if you know, depending on what version of Caleb Williams we get. Houston's offense, I don't know what the fuck to make of that, but they could very easily hold them to 14 points even if they're bad. But the Rams are going to go roughshod on them. So maybe this is an instance where we need to consider like starting people against this Ravens defense because woof. And then the last thing I want to bring up, because I talked about this a lot over the offseason, that I felt that the Lions offense was going to take a pretty steep step back. And that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs were the safe options. Well, through 4 weeks, I feel like I'm half right. Amon-Ra and Gibbs have been fantastic. They are absolutely carrying this offense. And this offense is doing some fantastic things. But David Montgomery is the RB22. He's had one good game. That's basically inflating his entire season.
We had
Jameson Williams, well, one big run, yeah. I mean, but still, like he had one good game. Yeah. Jameson Williams through 4 games has all of 20 targets and is the wide receiver 46. Sam Laporta has 21 targets and 16 receptions, 0 touchdowns, and is the tight end 17. So, yeah, maybe this offense did take a step back. It's just being inflated by how really good Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs are. So, I think if you roster Detroit Lions players outside of those big 2, it might be time to jump ship if you can. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because JMO looked like he was going to be.
I was going to say the way they continue to talk him up, they want to get him more involved. But all they're like, he's averaging 21.4 yards per reception. That's great. But if you're averaging those types of numbers, you're not going to see volume. And he has a 50% catch percentage. That's not going to do it. That's a little more than 2 catches a game.
Here I was thinking we were going to talk positive today.
Look, it took 45 minutes to get to the quote negativity, so I don't want to hear it.
That's fair. That's fair. Maddie says 1-3 record. Can I make the playoffs?
I mean, sure, absolutely you can. Never rule yourself out. You just have to be proactive. You have to try to get in front of things. You have to make some moves that maybe you wouldn't consider making if you were 3-1.
Yep. It's only week 4. There's still, a long season left. Make some moves. We can get back in this. There's injuries that have happened, so that I'm sure that's hit your roster as well, Matt. So don't overreact. Don't stress it. George says he's learned that running backs are still king. Well,
let's stop and think about this for a second. You probably drafted Derrick Henry early. How are you feeling about that? Probably drafted Saquon Barkley early. How are you feeling about that? Like there's going to be hits or misses. And then if you wait on running back, maybe you got Javonte Williams because everybody faded him and he's doing pretty damn good. There's always going to be pluses and minuses to the, taking wide receivers early or taking running backs early, right? Like, if you took Gibbs early, if you took Bijan early, if you took CMC early, you're sitting pretty. But you know what? If you took Puka Nacua early, you're probably doing better than those managers. So like there's wins and losses on both sides of that. So sure, you're likely starting less running backs, which means that, finding that good one early makes a lot more sense. But, I don't like to subscribe to the, I'm only going to go to one position early because you can find good players at any position early if you draft right.
Oh, Packers defense is right for the picking.
Such a dad joke.
Matt says he thinks he's going to take a look around for another defense. Green Bay ain't cutting it.
See, there you go.
There you go. Tyler, do you think I can survive with Etienne and Jeanty as my starting running backs? I also have Swift and Monty. Should I package 2 of them to upgrade? If so, who should I target in a PPR redraft?
If I can move Swift and or Monty, I would 100% do it. I would try to focus more on Monty because he's already had that big game. So you have a higher, ranking aside of him. But I mean, really, it depends on the other pieces of your roster. I mean, maybe you've got another wide receiver that you can package with one of them to get an upgrade at running back. But I mean, in terms of your starters, like Etienne and Jeanty, I think both are good. I think you have, 2 top 10, top 12 running backs the rest of the season, pending they both stay healthy. What I will say is Etienne has a couple of not great matchups coming up. So, maybe he's not reaching his full potential in those matchups, but the promising side is that the volume is there. He's seeing the workload, and the Bashal Tutin hype that we've had for the last few weeks has started to, die down a little bit. But Jeanty and Etienne, I think, are absolutely starters, 100%. In terms of who you should target, like I said, to me, it really depends on who some of your other pieces on your roster are, Tyler. I know we're kind of coming up on time here, so if you're not already, join our Discord. You can find the link in the description of this video. Jay, drop it here in the chat. Share some screenshots with us. Let us know what we're happy to help you with trades and see what we can work out to help out, Tyler.
Yep, just dropped it in the chat for you guys. Make sure you jump over and join us over there. Quincy says down by 23, going against Chase. He has Higgins and Dobbins. Do I win?
I not loving Higgins, truthfully. So for me, this is Chase versus Dobbins. It's an uphill battle for you, Quincy. That's what I'm going to tell you. Unless Patrick Surtain sees more Jamar Chase and completely shuts him down, which again, not out of the realm of possibility. That would be your saving grace, is that it frees up T. Higgins and he gets more of the looks.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm. I mean, Chase is probably going to see 7-8 targets, or should see 7-8 targets. But again, it's coming from Browning, so who the fuck knows? That's gonna be a rough one. Make sure you all are liking and subscribing to the YouTube here. If you're over on Spotify or Apple, make sure you're following us over there, liking and subscribing there. Again, let's talk about Trophy Smack real quick, Josh.
Fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all of your rewards. They have trophies, rings, and championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. So hit the link in the description of this podcast to check out some of the swag that you can get to show off and brag. It's all available at trophysmack.com/Club Fantasy.
All right, let's get over to the last segment of the show. I believe two more segments of the show. Shot of espresso, the quality performances that got the juices flowing. Josh, here's the list: Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Drake May, Jackson Dart, Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irvin, CMC, Travis Etienne. Kenneth Gainwell jumps onto this list for us. Puka Nacua, Drake London, QJ, Stephon Diggs, Halo, after talking bad about him on Saturday, he decides to pop in. Jordan Addison, welcome back. Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts, Tyler Warren.
Yeah, a lot of quality performances this week, and there's a laundry list. Look, I'm going to eat my crow on George Pickens. I've been very down on him. Not the volume type receiver, or at least hasn't shown to be. And again, this kind of leads me to my point. Maybe the Packers defense is overrated and not as good as what we saw in those first couple of weeks. Pickens made some big plays, spectacular catches, wide receiver 2 on the week, topped 100 yards, scored 2 touchdowns. He made sure the offense wouldn't miss CeeDee Lamb, and that's what a quality wide receiver does. Just too bad that their defense misses Micah Parsons, because their defense is so bad. Pickens' next 3 games, all likely without CeeDee Lamb. They're at the Jets, they're at Carolina, and they're versus Washington. Some of those teams have some pretty solid top corners. Jets have Sauce, Carolina has J.C. Horn, Washington has Marshawn Lattimore, who plays big wide receivers really well. So it's going to be interesting to see if George Pickens keeps this up. But one thing I do know is that this offense of the Cowboys, number 1 in the NFL. And their defense, dead last. This team has to throw the football. So expect the volume. Like, they have to throw the ball. So Pickens is a wide receiver 2 with legitimate wide receiver 1 upside every single week. Like, without CeeDee Lamb, he needs to be in your starting lineups. There's no start-sit question involved here.
No, they're averaging 40 fucking tosses a game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. You got another one for us?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about some of the rookie running backs. Ryan put this in the show sheet, but obviously with him not here, I wanted to kind of, take the mantle, or take the baton, I guess, more so. Look, Ashton, Jeanty, Amari, and Hampton, this is what he and I talked about on Wednesday's Week 4 preview. These guys were set up to succeed, playing not so great defenses. Marion Hampton did the thing, over 10 yards per rush, had a touchdown, very involved in the passing game. Obviously, we already talked about Jeanty in the beginning of this show, but their usage as both runners and receivers, they are must-starts going forward. There's no 2 ways about it. They are top 12 options at the position. Quinshon Judkins, missed the first week of the season, but ever since, he's been the volume king. And this is kind of something that we talked about in the offseason, was that when you draft someone like Judkins, you're drafting him to be the bell cow. That's what he was at Ole Miss. He was splitting touches at Ohio State with Travion Henderson. His profile is a bell cow. When they spent a 4th-round pick on Dylan Sampson, it wasn't to split the carries. It was, hey, I've got somebody that I can utilize on some passing downs or that can fill in if Judkins gets hurt, because they have no depth at running back. Sampson broke out in week 1 because he had to. Ever since then, Sampson has been dust. Quinshon Judkins is a bell cow and is a top 15 running back as long as he is playing, even in a bad Cleveland offense. He finally got into the end zone, and that was always going to be the problem with Judkins and how we were trying to profile him for this season, is that when you have a running back with volume on a bad offense, they need touchdowns. And if they're not scoring touchdowns, they're not going to be near as valuable. So Judkins is doing what he needs to do right now to be fantasy relevant. Cam Scatterbo comes in, Tyrone Tracy's out. He's seeing the workload, 75% of the snaps, 78% rush share, 10% targets against a good Chargers defense against the run. Only scored 13 fantasy points, was the RB19 on the week. But if he falls into the end zone, now we're talking about a top 12 running back. So these are all good signs, and he gets the Saints next week. Again, Giants against the Saints, you want to start your Giants players. And last, I want to talk about Woody Marks. He's been somebody that's on the radar. Nick Chubb getting in place there. Joe Mixon not being an option right now. Woody Marks has juice, and he's doing it as both a runner and a receiver. And that is the skill set that Joe Mixon brings to this Houston Texans offense. Nick Chubb has always been more one-dimensional, but he's always been really good at that one dimension, so we've kind of overlooked it. But now he's in the twilight of his career, coming off of big-time injuries. He doesn't have the same kind of juice. Woody Marks offers that. And these guys are splitting touches. Marks is somebody that we need to be paying attention to. If he's not on your roster, you need to be putting in those waiver claims to get him, because it's only a matter of time before those snaps start to tilt this way, away from Chubb and more towards Marks, because it doesn't look like Joe Mixon is coming back in the near future at all.
Yeah, you're talking about a player who I liked in the offseason, especially coming into dynasty drafts. Woody Marks, you get him fucking for free. He's basically free. 2 touchdowns. He basically led Houston to the first win of the season. Real quick, I just wanted to add this note to those players you just brought up. 6 combined touchdowns yesterday between those. And it should have been 7, because for some ungodly reason, the Cleveland Browns are trying to sneak Joe Flacco in on the goal line when it should just be give the damn ball to Judkins and let him go. But that's beside the point. The one guy I wanted to bring up was Kyle Pitts. Hello, Kyle Pitts. Welcome back to the NFL. Since it's been like 4 years since we were able to actually positively talk about this guy. He found the end zone yesterday, 5 for 5, 70 and a touchdown. Finally getting into the end zone there. On this season, 20 of 24, 205 and a tutty. What does that mean? He's on.
I'm telling you, I talked about this in the offseason. Michael Penix was talking up Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
People were like, I'm out on Kyle Pitts. He was my tight end 9 going into the season. That's all I was saying. Kyle Pitts is coming back this year.
That's where he sits right now.
And that's the thing, is because he was a value in drafts because everybody was out on him. That's why it was so easy to be in on him.
Right now, he is on pace for over 100 targets. The last time he saw 100 targets was his rookie year. He's on pace for over 800 yards. Last time he saw 800 yards, his rookie year. He's on pace for roughly about 5 touchdowns right now. He's tight end,
which fits the narrative.
Which is exactly
right. He had 4 last year.
tight end 8. And like you just said, they are finally using him in the right way. He's not an inline tight end like most tight ends. He's an off-the-ball tight end. And they are using him that way, opposite of Drake London. It's giving actually Michael Penix an option where he's able to use London and Pitts and be productive. So, Millie Mills, that was for you. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. I did talk good about your Falcons for a change. Congratulations. All right, let's get a couple more of these questions in real quick. Apple Season says, just made this trade. What do you think? Travis Hunter and Matthew Golden for Jacoby Myers and Caleb Williams.
I mean, if you need a quarterback, because I'm guessing this is a 1 QB league. If you need a quarterback, I don't hate this move at all. Like, truthfully, you're not starting Travis Hunter or Matthew Golden right now with any level of confidence. So, I mean, this is the kind of trade that you make to get a quarterback in a 1 QB league. Now, if it's a super flex league and that's all you had to give up to get Caleb, by all means, I'm all aboard. If it's a dynasty league, I mean,
well, here's his squad. Here's his squad. Caleb Williams, Devon Achane, Omarion Hampton, Nico, Devontae Smith, Zach Ertz, Jacoby Myers. His bench is Kittle, Purdy, Mooney, Charbonnet, Luther Burden, Geno Smith, and Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I don't hate this trade at all. I mean, obviously, if you were relying on Geno, you were probably streaming every week anyway. At least now you get a competent starter for the rest of the season. You've got some solid pieces. Yeah, I don't hate that move at all.
Millie Mills, yeah. Don't pay attention. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, bad Cleveland offense and defense.
I don't know about defense. I just think they ran into the Lions, but also too, like the Browns defense, and it reminds me last year, like the Giants defense started off hot, but their offense just couldn't do anything. So that good defense looked a lot worse. We're going to see the same thing with Cleveland. Cleveland has a really good defense, but when the offense can't get anything going, you just put your defense in situations that make it so much more difficult to get out of.
Millie Mills jumps back in and says, speaking of Josh, last week he traded T. Higgins for Matthew Golden. He's got love at quarterback, and he's really doing this trade for later in the season with Golden.
And you know what? I think that's a savvy, smart move. Look, I mean, T. Higgins right now is not getting you much of anything. Like, sure, on the surface, it looks like you got fleeced, downgrading from T. Higgins to Golden. But, if you don't need Golden right now, like if you weren't starting Higgins, go get somebody that you feel like can help you later in the season. I would have tried to get a little bit more, Golden plus for Higgins, but I don't hate the move at all. Because, again, I do think Golden's going to have a role. It's just, he's a rookie. Rookie wide receivers, they take time. They don't always pop in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, 14 targets on the season for Higgins. Woof. And it's probably only going to get worse. Let's get over to Chill the Fuck Out. The dub that was merely a blip on the schedule. Josh?
So I wanted to try something a little bit different this week. Instead of just like looking at this 1 week and trying to predict, hey, all right, it's just 1 week, blah, 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 whatever. I wanted to play a little bit of panic or chill the fuck out. So I wanted to grab some players that we spent some pretty legitimate draft capital on. And now that we're 4 weeks in, where they rank among players in their position, and if we still think that they can hit these lofty expectations. So let's start at quarterback. Kyler Murray is currently the QB 21, Jay. Some people, myself included, thought he would be a top 10 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go so far as saying, do you think that Kyler actually finishes outside the top 15 at quarterback based on what you have seen right now from him in the Cardinals offense?
God, it's so hard because there's such a good possibility that could happen. I do like the fact that he finally figured out how to get the ball to Marvin Harrison. I like
he had a 25% target share this week.
He is using his legs every week. He's over 30 yards in the run game. I just need to see a little bit more consistency in the passing game. There's a world that he does finish outside the top 15, but there's still that world that he could still finish inside the top 10 if he continues to progress the way he's progressing, and they find Marvin Harrison and of course, McBride. If they can get out of their own way sometimes, get the ball down the field. I am not stressing Kyler Murray at this point 4 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I'm not really stressing. I mean, we all kind of knew that it was going to be, tough sledding a little bit. Now I want to preface these rankings, quote unquote, are points per game. So they are factoring in like some of the backups, like, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, et cetera, that have come into play. But on the season, he's QB 14 overall, right? So, top 15 might be very much within that realm of possibility, but top 10 might still be a stretch. I mean, when you look at guys like Daniel Jones that have come out, Drake May is shot to the top. He's QB4 currently in points per game. Patrick Mahomes is QB3, and a lot of people were doubting him. Matthew Stafford's QB15. So like there's people here that we weren't expecting to do as well, and they're kind of showing out right now.
Yeah, Daniel Jones came back to earth a little bit yesterday with the interceptions. I mean, he was sitting up there at the top at like QB2, QB3, somewhere in that range. He's dropped all the way down to QB7. So, a little bit more of the Daniel Jones, as high as I was on him for the first couple of weeks because he's played phenomenal. And even
I was going to say his points per game have literally dropped every single week since the start of the season.
So, I mean, there are those players. I mean, again, that's a long season. So over the course of a season, you're going to see these players, that are up there for now, like a Patrick Mahomes was down low. Now he's, putting himself back up in that echelon again. You're going to see these players that we know don't belong as QB2, QB3, right? He's going to come back down to earth. Now, how far does he fall? Does he fall over to QB, 12, 13, 15, somewhere in that range? That's possible. But I still think Kyler Murray is the better option long term.
How about Trevor Lawrence, QB 31 right now in points per game? Do you think he finishes top 15?
No.
Yeah, that offense just is not looking good right now.
Well, here's and not to make fun of Jacksonville because they're 3-1. Surprisingly, they're 3-1. But
it's their defense, it's not their offense, though.
But you've seen the commercial, right? Brian Thomas Jr. It was so good last year. And now that was with Mac Jones. That wasn't with Trevor Lawrence as much. But you notice the commercial that they have on TV running right now. Brian Thomas Jr. is not in that. It's Travis Hunter. Well, guess what? Travis Hunter's not playing fucking offense right now.
Yeah, right.
So
he did see a 70% route percent.
You can wave your hair all you want to, Trevor Lawrence. You're not going to be a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. I want to switch over to the running backs now because I think this is really interesting.
Let me take the lead on this one.
No, by all means, go right ahead.
I know how I feel about this particular running back, and I was pretty high on him going into the season. But Derrick Henry right now, RB24. Does he finish outside the top 15?
I think if we're talking PPR leagues, I think he does. I think there's something that, quite frankly, is going on in that Ravens offense. And I think a lot of it is some of that pressure that Lamar is feeling because of not getting over the hump in the playoffs, Josh Allen winning the MVP and getting the Bills to the championship game. But quarterbacks in particular, when their defenses struggle, they feel that extra pressure of, all right, now I have to go out and win this game. I have to go out and do what needs to be done. Offensive line's a little banged up. Lamar seems to be holding the ball a little bit longer than he typically does. At least that's what it feels like. I haven't looked at the metrics or anything. They didn't get Bateman involved at all yesterday. Mark Andrews saw the targets, but, not great results. Isaiah Likely coming back into the fold. So, just something seems to be off. But when the defense struggles and they're playing from behind, guess who's not on the field? Derrick Henry. He's not on the field in 2-minute drills. He's not on the field when they're trailing and need to throw the football. That's Justice Hill territory. And if that trend continues where this Baltimore defense continually gives up points in bunches, Derrick Henry is going to struggle because so much of his value is touchdowns. And if he's not on the field to score them, big time struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you when you're looking at it. Just yesterday alone, 39% snap share. Justice Hill at 59% snap share. And again, you brought it up, playing from behind. So, woof. Let's jump over to another receiving running back here. Alvin Kamara Running back 26. Does he finish outside the top 20?
I'm leaning towards that unless he gets traded. If he stays on the Saints, yes, that offense is not great. They're hyper targeting Olave and Juwan Johnson simply because they're consistently falling behind, so they have to throw, and they're looking further down the field than the short dump offs to Kamara. And which, again, maybe that's just Kellen Moore and the time that he spent in Philly and not throwing to the running back position. But Kamara has always made his living on receptions. And if he's not catching the football, he's not going to be productive for your fantasy teams. Because he's certainly not scoring touchdowns in this bad offense.
No, it is. It's not great. We relied on Alvin Kamara to get the receptions, and when you're sitting there looking at Spencer Rattler's throwing less than 30 times in a game, and he's only completing 15 to 18 of them in a game, that doesn't bode well. Even though that Kamara is getting five targets, and he's catching them, but it's just not enough. It's just
he has 15 targets through 4 games, which again, that's certainly not bad, and he's caught 13 of them, 49 yards. Like, that's not even 4 yards per catch.
Yeah, that's not Alvin Kamara-esque, as they say. Let's move over to wide receivers. One guy I just brought up when we talked about Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 47. Does he finish outside the top 15?
Yeah, I think he's more of a top 20, top 24 option at this point. I still think that he'll get to a point where there's some level of connection there. The commercial thing is I don't put too much weight into that because, it's the brand and whether they sign the athletes or not, plain and simple. So I don't look too much into that. Plus, they're acting, it's on TV, whatever.
It was 100% a joke. Come on.
Quite honestly, Brian Thomas Jr. just doesn't look like he wants to get hit. And when he's running routes over the middle, he gets trepidatious. He gets nervous. He doesn't want to get popped. That's a staple of the Liam Cohen offense. Like, it's not just go routes. It's not 9 routes. It's not deep posts. Like, you're running a full route tree. So I think that, with Brian Thomas Jr., you really need to there's definitely a certain level of patience, but at the way that it's looking right now, you're not going to get ROI based on where you drafted him.
Nothing to add. It's just not. Let me see this next one. If I can poke the bear to say a little bit.
Fuck you.
AJ Brown, wide receiver 49, finishing outside the top 15.
So before I give you my answer, I want to read the stat that I found from JJ Zacharyson. So AJ Brown this week had a 37.5% target share against the Bucs and scored 2.7 PPR points. Since 2011, this is only the 9th time a wide receiver has had over 30% target share and scored fewer than 3 fantasy points. And then, of course, AJ Brown hops on Twitter and sends his cryptic wide receiver tweet, which, basically means he's going to fucking explode next week against Denver and Patrick Surtain. But again, and I've said this all season, the Eagles have the toughest schedule in the NFL. Yes, they're 4-0, and that's fantastic. AJ Brown is a competitor. He wants to not only win, but he wants to be the reason that they win. And right now, they don't need AJ Brown to win because the defense is playing so well. They just need to not make mistakes. I'm officially on notice with AJ Brown. And that hurts me to say because I have so much AJ Brown in fantasy. But I don't know what's going on with this passing offense. Kevin Patullo's got his work cut out for him. And I know he's a first-time play caller. We've got the weapons. They're there. Maybe it's the routes that they're calling for AJ Brown. I don't know. But you got to get this guy in space and let him do what he does.
It's rough. I've got
it has not looked good, plain and simple.
Leagues. I mean, getting the 9 targets he did yesterday, only catching 2 of them. Like you said, though, they're not calling pass plays. Mm-hmm. 24 pass attempts yesterday is, I mean, it is what it is. The Bucs defense is not that fucking good in the secondary. That's
no, and it was a great matchup for him. It truly was. But it just, I mean, look, Jalen Hurts was 0 for 8 passing in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
0 for 8. Like that's you're not going to have a productive offense, passing offense. Obviously, if you're not completing passes, like that's rule 1. But like for whatever reason, like he handled the blitz great. Jalen Hurts did in the first half, and then the second half, Todd Bowles said, "All right, we're going to try some different things." But yeah, I don't know. It really wasn't. I'm legitimately, I'm officially worried about AJ Brown. They're not going to trade him. It's not going to be one of those things. You're not going to take an undefeated team and trade your best wide receiver option. Like that's just not going to happen. So,
no, he's still Batman, as they say. Let's move over to the next one real quick. We talked about him a little bit earlier. I know you got this guy as a worrisome product too, as well. Lad McConkey, wide receiver 55. Can he finish inside the top 24?
No. Straight up, just no. Quentin Johnston is for real. I don't think Quentin Johnston finishes as a top 5 wide receiver that he is right now, but he is for real. He scored more touchdowns than Lad McConkey last year. Everything that they're doing is designed to get Quentin Johnston the football. And Lad McConkey is just an ancillary piece. That's it. They're hitting on explosive plays the way that they weren't last year, which means that they don't need to focus on the chain moving kind of throws where Lad McConkey thrives in. Mm-hmm. And they have that with Keenan Allen right now. So I don't like Lad McConkey's taking a backseat to Keenan Allen, plain and simple. I'm officially worried if I roster Lad McConkey.
This is like the Brian Thomas, right? The return is not what you expect.
Yeah.
So
but you know what? I think you're going to end up losing more value on Lad McConkey than you are on Brian Thomas Jr.
Very, very fair. Let's move over to a couple tight ends. Brock Bowers, tight end 11 right now. Can he finish inside the top 5 at tight end?
Yeah, I think Brock Bowers does. I think part of it is he's dealing with the knee injury. The fact is, Geno Smith's not afraid to throw the football. So the volume will eventually be there. I think the biggest worry is that's, Chip Kelly runs so much 12 personnel that Michael Mayer is on the field a ton. And the only way that they want to use Bowers right now is just catching the football, even though he's a very well-rounded tight end and he can do a lot of everything. But this to me is just a simple matter of a new offensive coordinator trying to figure out where his toys fit in his scheme. And I think that's really what it boils down to with Brock Bowers. I'm not as worried. I think the knee injury is playing a lot of part in this. So, once that sort of gets worked out, I think he'll catch fire at a certain point, especially because, again, that offense is going to throw the football, and that's only going to benefit Brock Bowers. And it's not like they have any other receiver target that is taking away from him. Like Jacoby Myers isn't doing anything.
No, I think besides the transition to the new play caller, that is the problem is I don't know why Geno Smith can't figure out that he needs to throw the ball to the players that are wearing the same jersey color as him and not the other jersey color, as he's already thrown 7 interceptions through 4 games.
It's because he's Geno Smith. He's not a good quarterback.
That's a problem. David Njoku, tight end 25, finishes outside the top 12.
This one I will bite on. Yeah, I'm a little worried here. Again, to me, it's just, yes, Harold Fannin is a, quote, problem in terms of Njoku's usage. Joe Flacco's not good. He's not good anymore. Plain and simple. He's throwing the ball a ton, but he's not getting results out of it. They're targeting the tight end, which is great. But at a certain point, they're going to move to the even more unproven rookies in Dylan Gabriel and or eventually Shedeur Sanders. Tight ends are, rookie QB's best friend or whatever, but they're going to struggle to score touchdowns. So he needs volume. And right now he's splitting that volume with Harold Fannin. So yeah, right now I'm a little worried about David Njoku, especially with, Tyler Warren popping up and doing what he's doing. Juwan Johnson doing what he's doing. Dalton Kincaid having that 3rd-year leap. These are guys that we weren't putting it, ahead of Njoku in our preseason rankings that have made the case that, we're here to stay. And that's only going to push some of these veterans down the ladder.
Yeah, I think the worst thing for Njoku is beside the Joe Flacco thing is Fannin, where they're just cannibalizing each other.
Yep.
So that's not great for us fantasy players. Quincy says one last one. He promises. Who would you pick? Who would you pick up, Wan'Dale or Jennings?
Truthfully, would prefer both of them. But if I had to rank one, I would say Wan'Dale over Jennings, simply because Wan'Dale's playing. Jennings is in and out of the lineup. But, once George Kittle comes back, somebody's getting cannibalized. And I would put my money on Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings.
Index going back to, I believe this was about the A.J. Brown deal. We got mad at KC for playing ball control. Control the ball. They kept winning Super Bowls.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, they don't care if their wins are ugly or if they're flashy. They just want to win, plain and simple. Jalen Hurts is, 18-0 in the last 18 games that he started and finished? That's Tom Brady territory right now. And I don't say that lightly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the last team he lost to was the team he beat yesterday to get at 19-0. Sorry, fucker.
Well, I mean, technically he lost to the Commanders, but again, he got knocked out.
He's injured in that one. I don't care.
And the Eagles still almost won that game with Kenny fucking Pickett. Like, again, this is a damn good football team.
Smitty, how you doing this morning? Bringing in the Woody Marks. We talked about Woody Marks.
Yeah,
make sure you watch the replay because we had some great things to say about Woody Marks. Let's talk about tonight's game and my gambles. Don't forget to sign up over there on Underdog with code WOFF and claim your free pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. There are 2 games tonight. The lines on ESPN bet for the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 2, it looks like. Is that true? Oh, my goodness. Both of these teams are 0-4. Neither one of them should be favored, if you ask me. The over-under is 44.5. That is at 7:15, I believe. And then at 8:15, because we screwed up and watched so much football last year, Disney decided to run both of these games at the same time. Fucking mouses. Cincinnati at Denver, 8.5.
You realize the plural of mouse is mice, right?
No, it's mouses. I want them to know that they're mouses now. They're not mice. They're mouses. Him and Minnie both. Big ears. Cincinnati at Denver. Denver favored by 8.5. Over under on that one as well at 44.5. Last week was not great, Josh, for myself. Going 1-4 on the picks. 5-9 overall.
Hey, your Sunday picks have been so much better.
I was going to say, I made up for it yesterday. My ladder won. I won a couple big ones. So I don't talk about those. I just put those in the Discord for y'all to look at. So make sure you go check that out. Go check out the Discord. 5-9 overall on the year. Tonight, the number 1 pick that I want everybody on is Devon Achane, higher than 56.5 rushing. The rest of the 4-leg parlay will be over in the Discord as soon as we get off of here. I did not do a write-up this week on it, Josh. I'm trying to change the mojo. Maybe if I don't do the write-up this week, we go and hit. We get back to close to even again. Like we looked at last week. We were right there, and we screwed it up. So this week we're going to get back to even with this 4-legger. Devon Achane, 56.5 higher.
Okay. Now, if this was more of like the total rushing and receiving, I'd be in on it. But
yeah,
rushing definitely makes me nervous with Achane because he's so much more valuable as a receiver.
Well, that's fair, but it's the Jets, and as good as their back end can be, they give up a lot. And this is the thing though. It's hard when you're looking at the Dolphins trying to figure out which player is gonna, it's worth anything. And so I tried to go through and pick a player from each of the teams tonight, just one off of each of the 4 teams, and It was so hard to pick a Miami Dolphin player.
I believe it.
You got anything for tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking at Chase Brown lower than 52.5. Yes, Denver has allowed quite a bit to the running back position, especially over the last 2 games, 263 rushing yards. But Chase Brown is not Jonathan Taylor, who put up 165, and he's certainly not Marion Hampton, who put up 70 and a touchdown. Chase Brown, in 3 games this season, has not even combined for 100 rushing yards. That's a problem. He has not hit 53 in a single game this season. So this is bad versus bad if you really want to boil it down. But I think Cincinnati is going to have to throw to keep up. And I prefer his receiving line over his rushing line.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's see. We got a couple in the chat real quick, and then we will get the hell out of here. Remember, like and subscribe over here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any of the podcast platforms that you are on. Don't forget to hop into our Discord. You'll be able to see my picks for tonight, as well as join us for the all the football talk. Fantasy football talk. We have DFS over there, all of that kind of good stuff. Caesar says he dropped Woody yesterday morning to replace Dak with Gino. No worries, he's 0-4, so he has the first priority. Ah, Lord.
Oh, man.
Caesar, the positive thing. The positive.
You get Woody Marks back. That's the positive. There you go.
That's right. Sam says, sell Derrick Henry? Question mark.
I mean, we talked a little bit about Derrick Henry a little bit earlier and kind of the state of the Ravens offense and defense. Look, anytime you're talking about buying or selling, what's the price? That's really what it boils down to. If you're going to sell Derrick Henry, you still want value in return. Are you trying to replace him at running back, or do you feel that you have depth and you want to improve at wide receiver? In a vacuum, I'm fine selling Derrick Henry, but, what am I getting in return? If I can get Drake London in return, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to selling Derrick Henry either, as long as the return is.
Yeah, and that's all it boils down to. What's available? What can you get for him?
Trevor says, am I cooked? The guy I'm playing has Breece Hall. I'm winning by 8.18, but I have Tyreek.
I think that 8-point cushion definitely helps you, Trevin. I think that Breece Hall, Tyreek can have very good games. Both of them are electric enough that they can literally house call a touch once. But yeah, that 8-point cushion I think definitely helps you. So yeah, I think you're good here.
I agree as well. All right, let's get the hell out of here, Josh. An hour and a half for a bitch session was just a little too much today, but that's all right. We will be back tomorrow. Well, you will be back tomorrow with Ryan and his flu game.
Talking waivers, baby.
Talking waivers tomorrow at 11 a.m., giving you all the top waiver wire ads heading into week 5. And then also tomorrow evening, the Sam Holt, Derrick Tate get together on the Women of Fantasy Football sideline banter, and they look ahead to week 5 as well. For Josh, I'm Gator. We'll see y'all next week.